Welcome to Math 122. That's our intro to probability and statistics. This should be our CRN number. These are all handouts that you should have received, either handed out to you or definitely I had emailed them. So I emailed all of these papers to you, but then I also give you paper copies. So and I have some extras, so if there's an issue, I can bring some more on Wednesday. Sorry I could not be here today, but I really do appreciate that your flexibility in the situation. My goal is that this will be the only time that I'm absent, but you know, you never know. Anyway, there's obviously my name, my phone number, my email, my office number. Out of these, email is probably the easiest way to reach me. You can always stop by my office during my office hours, and those are posted outside of my office. I'm pretty much on campus, I would say between 8 in the morning with you guys till about 2. And the fortunate thing for you guys also is that I'm going to be in the Learning Center from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So if you do have anything that you need help with, that would be a great time to reach me, or if you have questions or concerns, that's a great time to come talk to me personally. And that'll be starting next week. The book that we're using, Elementary Stats, using the TI-83-84 calculator. I'm actually not going to be using this calculator much, but I prefer not to get a new edition of the book that kind of is going to make it more difficult for the campus. So that'll be fine, but if you have a TI-83-84, I'm very comfortable in using them, and I can help you, but just plan on inside the class that I'm going to be demonstrating things with the TI Inspire. I found that it has a little more functionality. It's a little more Windows based, so kind of in this tech generation where you're used to point and click, it's going to have a lot of those options. You can control paste, you can do lots of little nice little tricks. So if you have the 8384, I've had people go through the class and use this book. It'd be very successful. If you have the Inspire, that's what I'll be demonstrating in class, and I find that they are my happier students. So your choice. This is one where I do recommend that you get the book. For like my algebras, I don't necessarily recommend, but the statistics book has a lot of really nice pictures and examples in it. And so this would be one where, yes, you can buy the online account that comes with the ebook, but I would say, pony up the extra. I think it's like $30 or $40, and you can get the actual book. Statistics is something that, depending on your major, you're going to be using a lot of. And even if you don't, then people are going to be using statistics around you all the time. So this would be a book that I would keep as a resource, just so you know whenever statistics come up, you could go, wait a sec, that doesn't seem right. And you could look that up, and you could kind of stay on top of these things. So we already said you need to have a graphing calculator. My expectations on that is that it's going to be an Inspire. You can don't go out and necessarily buy one. If you already have one, that's fine. If you already have an 8384, you're fine. But you can rent the Inspires from the Learning Center. I want to say it's maybe $5. I'm not exactly sure. But you make a payment at the finance office. You bring that receipt to Charlene with an ID, and you should be able to check out that calculator for the semester. It's very reasonable. I've even had some people that will have the 8384, and then they still go check out the Inspire, and they bring both, and that doesn't hurt my feelings. Okay, so you will need to have a MyMathLab account. I will have a separate page kind of explaining that. That needs to be done today. So you should already have the information for that. You need to log onto the website, and you need to sign in. So those of you who are on the wait list are very excited to get in this class. Get on and get on MyMathLab, because what's going to happen is I'm going to see people that aren't on MyMathLab assume they were not here today, and I'm going to start dropping students, which is going to create spots for you. At this point, my wait list looked reasonable enough that I probably would keep everyone. So if you're not sure, get on there and start on the homework today. Okay, so no excuses on that. Get on there and get started. If you don't have the account by the Monday, then you can expect to be dropped. I'll talk more about that later. Here's my grading system. Tests and quizzes are 50%. Cover chapters 1 through 12. Let's see. You'll have paper quizzes that'll be done in class. There will be 5 tests. I don't know, you can read a lot of this. Feel free if something comes up that you can arrange to take the test with me. Even if something comes up last minute, email me, but you should be scheduling these ahead of time. Worst case scenario, I do drop your lowest test. So if there's a situation where it's an emergency and it's not a test that you can make up, then life can happen once. If life happens more than once, then you probably not going to be working out so well. But I try to account for, I understand what's going on in life. Things are busy, things come up. Obviously, I'm not here right now, so I understand that. Just try to arrange it as much as possible, and if not, then just life can happen. Okay. We will have group activities before each test. They are going to be basically a culmination of a lot of the topics. We go a little deeper with the topics, and a lot of times I will bring up topics from previous chapters and future chapters to kind of show how they're connected. So I find that these are a valuable way of just illustrating the concepts that you need to know for the test and showing you how statistics is connected. Final test. Oh, real quick, I want to make sure on the test, a note card, both sides will be fine. I'm going to say right now we need to consider if we only have an hour for tests, and I would generally have my tests would take between an hour and a half to 2 hours. I would have some students take even longer. If you are in that boat, one option you can do is get into the Learning Center at 7 a.m. I could start you to take your test there in the morning, and then I'll come to class and you could finish your test there. Or if you want, you can start the test at 8 a.m. and I can give you a little more time, but that will probably take place in the Learning Center. So if you find that you need more time, then plan on kind of starting the tests earlier, either in the Learning Center or staying later, probably still again in the Learning Center, your choice. Okay, so back to this. Our final test will be cumulative. We're not going to cover everything from every chapter, but it will have some key topics, and I have a list of those topics that I'll give you as we go a little further in. For the chapter tests, you can have a note card, front and back. Some people get very excited about that. That means I'm not going to expect you to memorize all the definitions. That also means I get to be meaner. So because I'm not going to expect you to know memorize all those definitions, I'm going to ask you to be able to apply the definitions. So I'm not going to ask you to necessarily define something. I'm going to ask you which of these is, and I'll ask you to understand it. So you think I'm being nice, it just means I get to ask harder questions. So prepare yourself accordingly. You shouldn't be showing up to the test without a note card. I give you a list of the topics for each chapter. Go back through your notes and prepare them. For the final, I allow a page of notes just because of the sheer mass of topics that are covered in there. So that gives you a good breadth of space to write down that information. Homework assignments are done online. You'll be using the MyMathLab to do that. Don't expect to turn in late homework. There are due dates on them. There's actually a little death clock that counts down and lets you know when the homework is due. Generally, 11:59, the day before the test. I have that set up right now. Every day before the test, the homework will close at 11:59. I have had to change that before. Since I give you such a length of time to do the homework, I've had some classes go, oh, that's great, I don't need to do the homework yet. That is not true. So what will happen is somebody will say, okay, I've got like a week to do the homework, I'm just not going to start this section. That is not why I leave the homework open. Why I leave the homework open is because there are a lot of times some challenging questions that you need more time to process or come in and get help. If I find that I would say a large group in the class is not keeping up on the homework, I can change this policy. I had to do that probably about 3 semesters ago, and what I would do is I would just cover a chapter and I would say you have till the end of the weekend. And then some people come back and go, well, I had questions. Well, I'm sorry, but you need to be motivated to keep up on the homework. Sections will build off prior concepts, so you can't be putting that off. Okay. Here's our grade scale. Do keep in mind, there it is. Final grades are not rounded, so if you have an 89.99%, that is still a B. So if you want the 90%, kind of buff up that grade. Get it to a 92%, so you don't have to worry, but just be careful with that. I will be taking roll. With the class being so short, I'm not going to be calling out roll. What I'll be doing is passing around a sheet where you can sign your name. Okay? Let's see. Any student with 3 or more absences may or may not be dropped. I will try to keep track of that, and if I see somebody that's not participating and they're not attending, I will drop you. And then you get very upset, but the idea is that that's here. You need to be at class. That's a vital part of the success in this class. Let's see, important dates. This is just for your convenience. You can read through those. Let's see. Cell phones do not count as calculators, so we've already discussed that you'll be expected. Here's some information on extra help. If you have a disability that I need to know about, make sure you go to the DRC and get that information filled out. And I actually love that because that just notifies me what I can do to be a better teacher for you, right? Students that have the DRC card, basically they have this card that says, this is how I learn best. And that helps me be a better teacher for you. So please make sure you utilize that and get me that information as soon as possible so I can accommodate whatever needs. Same with veteran services. A lot of times there's some special needs there. Please contact them. Let me know. I will try to work with you in these situations. Okay. Here are our official student learning objectives. You'll notice that those topics are covered when we go through the assignment list. These are topics you're going to be learning. This is what I am required to make sure I cover with you. Bare minimum here. Prerequisites, and I think that's it for this paper. So real quick, I'm going to start going through a couple more. Here is our assignment list, and you should have this as well. This is tentative. The idea is I generally don't have to deviate too much from this, but I will be back on Wednesday, so basically you're going to be expected to do the 1.2, 1.3 notes and work through that, and that should be done by Wednesday. Now, if there's one or two problems that you struggle with or something you don't understand, that's once again why I leave the homework open a little longer. But these two sections really should be done before you come to class on Wednesday, okay? If there's some things that you're struggling with or things that are difficult, or let's say life happens, I'm not trying to hunt you down on every single assignment. Well, good. You have till the night before our first test, which is ready to go. Looks like September 6th. You will basically, the homework will close at 11:59. So all of that homework, you will have time to finish up and polish up before that. You should not be coming into this week of September 4th without the homework done. The idea is that you're going to be having quizzes, you're going to be having reviews and activities that are going to be kind of the culmination of all the topics. So you really should be covered with this homework before then. Once again, I leave it open as a courtesy because I understand life happens, but please do not abuse that. I don't want to change that. Everything here is designed for your benefit, but you need to make sure that you are up to date on this ASAP. Okay. Let's see, scrolling through here. So this is just kind of outlining what you can be expected to do every day. Okay. So on 4.7, I'll cover that section. I'll expect you to do the homework that night. The next day, test review. Okay. So this just kind of outlines. If you have any questions, like I said, I'll be back on Wednesday and I can go over any of this with you. Let's see. Third page. Where were we at? How about this? You need to make sure that today you take time to log on to Pearson MyLab Lab and Mastering, and you get in there. You'll have the lecture for the section there, and I'll show you where that is, and then you are going to do the homework. But you need to register first. If you've never done it before, you register, give them your information. When they ask for the course ID, there's the information. If you have an account before, it's a little easier. You just basically sign in with your old account from before, go to add a class, and use that same instructor's ID. They will, at the very end, they're going to ask you for a credit card. Some of you are waiting on financial aid, or some of you are still on the wait list. What I'm going to encourage you to do then is at the very bottom, it'll be like the small text that says a temporary access, and it gives you a 2-week, I believe it's a 2-week temporary access. Okay. So if you don't have access to the funds right now to drop it, you get in there and you sign up to the course with the temporary access. And then when you get the book, you'll put in the code that is in the book, and that will validate your access at that point. Okay. So make sure you go through that. Make sure that you get logged into that today. If you have any questions on that, feel free to email me, but that should be done today. The other thing that I do use is called Invite. So I'll be sending messages out. You should have already received a message from me for Monday. So if you were one of my overachievers and already logged in to remind, then I already had a message sent to you today. So thank you for doing that. Keep it up. This is not an optional thing. I expect you to sign up for Remind. You have two options with that. You can do cell phone. There are standard text message rates apply. Most people at this point have the unlimited text, so that won't be an issue. You can do it from this, or you can actually text. I'm trying to see where it is on here. Here we go. To this number, and you text at acres122m. It'll prompt you for your name. You type that in, and then you're in. And then any messages I send, you'll be receiving. That can be something like, hey, don't forget the homework closes tonight. It could be, I finished covering a section, and then later on somebody goes, hey, this question was in the homework that I didn't remember you covering. Oh, okay, so I can send out a reminder on that. So once again, this is a service I'm going to be expecting you to use. If you don't have a cell phone, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You just go to this website and you sign in using your email. You all have an email through the school. It's not as prompt, but the idea is that I'll be sending messages out, and I expect each and every one of you to be signed up for this in one way or another, so that I know that you are receiving those messages. I do have some people that are really ambitious, and they'll do it on the phone and on the email. I don't know why they really like those messages, but if that's something you wanted to do, feel free. So make sure you do that. I do have another video right now, and that will be, actually, let me show you this real quick. Okay, so what I like to do, just to access our course, I go to coursecompass.com, and then what I'm going to do is sign in. If you don't have an account, like I said before, you're going to register as a student, put in your information, and then it'll prompt you for the teacher code. Since I already have an account, I'm going to sign in. And at this point, it will show active courses. If you've not signed in yet, you need to add a course, use that code again, you should be able to get in. I obviously have a bunch of courses, so I'm going to go and click on ours, Monday through Thursday. And this should be pretty much what yours looks like when it opens. And I want to just go through a couple features that are on here, as long as my internet decides to work. Okay, so we talked about when is the homework due? Well, 6 days, 10 days is your death clock. That's basically when our next test is. That seems a little off. I'll need to look at that. But the idea is it will be counting down to when your next homework assignment is due. And then there's no excuses. Don't email me the day after homework closes and go, I didn't know the homework was going to close at that time. Yes, you did. It's right here the entire time. Okay. Also, when you go to do a section of homework, I want to go ahead and just click on 1.3, one of the first ones. I think we do some math in here. Let's see. That is not the question I'm looking for. Let me see if I can find one where we calculate some stuff. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to find it until way later. Actually, I think 1.4 is where we start the first homework. So let me go there where we do kind of the first math stuff. There's a lot of definitions here, so you're going to need to make sure you know those. Come with that note card prepared, be able to apply them. Okay. All right. So let me go back a little bit. And oh, I know. There's one that we do at the beginning when we get to 1.4. I'm about to give up on this. Where are we at? Maybe it wasn't 1.3. Let me see. I'm going to pause it. Tired of wasting your time. Okay, so it was in 2.3. Sorry for the confusion. But this is something that I don't do a whole lot with, was class width. But the idea is that that's going to be the width of these classes. We'll go over that later. I don't make you do this necessarily on the test, but you need to put in a number. And let's say I incorrectly say that it is 9. It's going to go, no, that's not correct. And then it gives you a definition. So there's basically a help there. If I'm still struggling with this, I can go up here and click question help. A lot of great resources here. I want to encourage you to avoid help me solve this. The best thing you can do would be textbook. If I click there, it opens up an e-edition of the textbook. And it basically opens you up to the page in the e-book that explains about finding class width. So this is a pretty cool resource. Of course, it's going to be a little slow, so I'm not going to waste your time. But you basically could read through the book, add to your notes. and that would help you understand what class width is. Okay? All right, I'm not going to wait for this, so I'm going to get out of there. The other option is I go, all right, I read that, I looked over my notes, I'm not seeing something, view an example. Okay, what view an example is it's a question that is very similar to this, but it's not the same numbers. So you go through and it has an explanation, and it explains as it goes to get class width, to how to get midpoint, how to do all those things. And then you go, okay, I think I understand it. You go through and go, I think the class width is now 10. Okay. So the idea is that you can use that as a help, but beware of this, help me solve this. If I click on that, it literally does like a step-by-step, do this, do this, do this. Some people like that, but I find that a lot of people that do really well on the homework and don't do well on the tests, that they will spend a lot of time doing help view an example and help me solve this on every single question instead of figuring it out. And the issue is you're training yourself to basically need that help every time you go to take the test. So please be wary of that. Do not just click on those. View an example, help me solve this is helpful, but you should not be using that on every question. There is also an option to ask my instructor, but I don't necessarily get to that every day. I try to respond to emails. That's the best way to get a hold of me, but it's probably every one to 2 days, and you're in the midst of the homework right now. I'm not sitting at my computer right now waiting for questions and all excited to help you. The idea is you need to, if you need to do that, feel free, but I would make sure that you utilize the Learning Center. There's some really good tutors in there. That would be where you could get quick and easy help on that, okay? So what did we say? Textbook is good, view an example, help me solve this, and last resort. And then you can ask me, just don't expect me to respond immediately, okay? All right, anything else that we need to know about this? Yes, there are going to be quizzes. So there are going to be quizzes for every chapter. Oh, I was like, they don't know here. They're open all semester. The idea is I leave these open. You can use them as extra prep before you take an exam, or they are a great thing to review before the final. See, as the homework closes, it's a lot harder to review. You have your old reviews, things like that. This is a good resource so that before the final, you make sure you look through all of these. These are not optional. There are things I'm going to expect you to do. Okay. Your grade book will be your up-to-date grades. Everything you do will get updated there. This is your current grade for the class. Okay. Is there anything else in here I need you to know? There will be one more thing. You should be getting out a little early today, so you're welcome. Go in today, and when you go log into the course, the minute it pops up, I'm going to have a little tab in here that's going to say lecture videos. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a lecture for section 1.2 and 1.3. It'll be taped and it'll be in here. You click on there, it should open, and you should be able to access the lecture that way. If you're struggling with that, please email me and I can send you another way of linking that. But the idea is that you need to make sure that you listen to that lecture through the notes. That you should have got the note paper already. But go in there, listen to that, fill out the notes, and then start the homework. Okay? All right, so if there's any questions, again, please feel free to email me. Thank you again for your flexibility. Sorry I couldn't be here today, but I will plan on seeing you Wednesday. So if you listen to that video, you are basically good through Wednesday, and I will be here Wednesday at 8 a.m. Thank you very much.